A 4-day work week. Let's have a look. Hello everyone, Florian.heise here and welcome to another episode of HeiseSays. I have my morning stein of coffee and I thought we'd look at this article discussing a 4-day work week. Now for those of you that are in small business or in a trade, the idea of a 4-day work week doesn't make any sense. Particularly, my hobby I'm doing every morning at 5:30 a.m. recording the YouTube, let alone working only 4 days a week. I'd think, well, with the Pareto principle, a lot of people will simply ignore it. Will what happens in France, where they legislate maximum hours and they shut down businesses, they shut down bakeries who dare to work more, dare to earn more money than is allowed. That's really happening, everyone. That's insane, isn't it? So let's have a look at this. Are you excited at the prospect of a 4-day work week? Or will it just allow you to show that you're better than all the other lazy people at your work? Because you'll work 5 days. Or, do you want to take that pay cut? Or are people already on a 4-day work week and getting paid for 4 and working for 5? Because I've heard of that happening at the moment as hours are getting cut. So I'm very skeptical about the ideas of a 4-day work week, particularly for professionals. Even if it happens, it won't happen. People will work more. So let's look at this. The realities of a 4-day work week. The 4-day work week is coming to Australia. The real question is, what form will it take? A 4-day work week could be within our grasps, but some experts have warned, be careful what you wish for. Exactly. Despite predictions that Australian companies will increasingly embrace shorter work weeks following the pandemic, they may not take the form workers imagined. Exclusive data from software company Citrix, not a fan of their setup, but that's just my own experiences, revealed 85% of Australians would take a shorter work week if their employer offered it, although only 1 in 5 would accept a pay cut for the privilege. Okay, so there you go. So it's just garbage. If you work less, you get paid less. That's fair, isn't it? Fair and reasonable? But of course, now people will be happy to work less and don't want the pay cut. I mean, a lot of people already do this now. They work 4 days a week and they just work longer hours. Citrix Asia Pacific and Japan Field Chief Technology Officer Safi Ubdella said employees could achieve the same output in less time if businesses supported them to work smarter and minimize digital distraction. See, this is the thing. I had a ban on listening to music, and then eventually we had one ear. It's true, you've got digital distractions. Does it stop people accessing Facebook or other social media thing? You've got a whole generation that think it's normal to do all that stuff all day. We need to eliminate the mindset that aligns long hours with presentism, with success. Well, that's right too. He's right there. We had one staff member who was South Korean, and he would just put in the hours, like insane hours, but he'd never get anything done. He'd just waste time. He would just waste time. We had to tell him, guys, it's not about being there longer. It's not about that. You need to just work, get your work done, then go. We want you to be energized back to work. And there's a bit of a cultural thing too, I think. We encourage business leaders to create hours of power to focus on the particular task. Invest hours of power. That just makes me think of the hour, 15 minutes of hate from 84. Invest in intelligent workspaces to allow seamless switching between applications and form healthy working habits that keep employees fresh of mind. Yeah, there's certainly some things there that are good advice. One thing I adopted was standing desks. So you can see here, I'm standing up. This is my workstation where I'm recording. I've got a desk behind me, which is for sitting. If I get tired, I'll switch between the two. Usually I do about half a day standing and then half a day sitting, just to break it up a bit. We had that in the office, and people would share the stools. Recruitment firm Robert Walters, Queensland Managing Director, Synid Horrigan, predicted more Australian businesses would offer short work weeks over the next 12 to 18 months. Well, yeah, they will, but that's a cost-saving mechanism. They'll be cutting costs. We're entering a recession. I mean, what type of prediction is it? However, in most instances, she expected it would be a cost. Okay, yeah, that's exactly what she said. Yep. In response to the crisis, rather than a compressed work week or reduced hours for the same salary. Well, yeah, of course not. You're not gonna reduce people's hours and pay them the same, are you? People aren't gonna, they want to have their cake and eat it too. So, futurist Chris Riddell said the trend had already begun. Futurist. I still remember the interview I did with a futurist on the channel here. It's interesting that whole profession. That whole profession. I mean, good on you. It's like beyond 2000. If anyone can remember that from the 80s and 90s, thumbs up. He gave the example of a very large Australian travel company that allowed staff to reduce their work week but earn a higher portion of their salary than they would usually be entitled to. If they take 3 days, they pay them 80% of their salary. If they take 4 days, they pay 90%, he said. They have not had to make any redundancies as a result. Okay, well, we'll have to see how that travel company goes with continued economic turmoil, everyone. I mean, it's not really an industry that it's going to be doing so well at the moment, is it? Commonwealth Bank head of Australian economics, Gerard Arid, said most Australians changing to a 4-day work week would not be doing so by choice. Underemployment, there you go. When someone has a job but does not receive as many hours as they would like, already jumped from 8.8% in March to 13.7% in April, according to the ABS. If you combine underemployment and unemployment, and I prefer the Roy Morgan numbers to the ABS numbers, it's sitting about 25% of our workforce. And that's not necessarily, another day a week should give people time to pursue more opportunities. They can do other things. They can start a side gig, which is going to be tough in a recessive economy, but there's still opportunities there. If you just take that day off and sit on your ass and don't do anything, then it's pointless. But if you use it to build your skill stack, learn something new, that could be a positive. Given firms are going to scale back the hours people work, especially in industries most severely impacted, you will see more people consider part-time than full-time, and you'll see a rise in underemployment, he said. A lot of people won't want less hours. No, they won't. They'll be concerned, particularly with the risk of potential mortgage stress getting even worse, and uncertainties out there. Consumer confidence is doing pretty low. Have you had your hours cut, guys? Have you had your hours cut? I spoke to one of our clients, and he's still working full-time hours, but his days have been cut. There is not going to be too many doing reduced hours by choice. It will be because that's all they can get. But other Australians are opting to go part-time for the increased work-life balance. Occupational health specialist Jana Dow worked 4 days a week for mining company Anglo American and hoped to continue that way for as long as possible. The work-life balance is amazing, she said. And honestly, that's probably right too. If notice how it's a woman that's made that work-life balance choice, and then we still hear all the arguments about there's a wage gap, which is utter rubbish. But we can't talk about reality here, can we? Balancing work and life is sometimes important. Often you'll reach a point in your life where you realize they're constantly being on this treadmill, and I think a lot of people are going to experience that through this forced stepping back and lockdown of the economy, constantly running on this treadmill to getting, keeping up with the Joneses, buying this, getting this expensive house, working, when you can be much happier just cutting back, living a bit cheaper, having a happier life. So it allows me to spend more time with my family while also progressing my career. My husband and I both work 4 days a week as we have 2 young children, and because of that, our kids only go to care 3 days a week. That's fantastic. That is really good seeing. So my sexist comments about the woman is the one that's doing it is probably quite out of date, everyone. Probably quite out of date. I need to become more woke and progressive. Don't worry. I think I'm too old for that now. Ms. Dowie, 36, said there'd also been other benefits from a work perspective. My productivity levels are higher. You have to really account for your time at work because you have that reduced time frame. And I mean, that's right. A project will often, it will fill the time that you have to do it. If you've got less time, you do it in that less time. You just get it done. If you're thinking about dropping to 4 days, I'd say go for it. I'd like to do it for the rest of my career. Well, there you go, guys. So a few indications of 4-day work weeks appearing in Australia, most of them to do with potential underemployment, with the fact that firms will be reducing hours just because of the way the economy is going. What do you all think, guys? Are you a fan of the 4-day work week? I know it's happened. I think Rachel had to get cut down when I think they cut her work to 3 days back when architecture work just crashed and her employer had to cut hours. They cut pays for all the directors. They had to work extra, get out more. All staff had to take day work cuts. You know, that was years ago. And that leads to underemployment. I think, honestly, it'll be more underemployment. People taking advantage of it for the work-life balance. I think that's going to be, you know, maybe some people will step up and realize that it's more important. It's good to see this example. They're not having to put their child in childcare for so much. And they get to be around their parents, like back in the old days. As always, please let me know your thoughts and opinions. Like, share, and subscribe to the channel. If you're a fan and you want to support the content I create here, there are a few ways you can. You can join us on YouTube or Patreon. You can support us via our affiliate links at Amazon or eBay, or Independent Reserve and Kucoin. You can buy our merch from HeiseSays. You can use Gold Pass from the Perth Mint, or you can support us via PayPal. Take care, everyone. I'll see you in the next episode.